Welcome back to the Heinz and Clark YouTube channel. Sorry for yelling at you right out the gate. I try and bring it down a little bit. We're excited to have you back, and today we're going to do a little discussion about the 1099-K and the new reporting requirements through Venmo, PayPal, and not Zelle. And just kind of, we're seeing a lot of confusion going out about it right now and how this is going to work and how this is going to impact me and the payments I get from friends and family and all those items. So we're going to try and tackle some of that confusion and hopefully it's a little clearer when we're done here.
Yeah, so this bill was, or this change in the rule was part of the American Rescue Plan, which was passed last March 2021. This rule takes effect for the current year, January 1st of 2022. Essentially, the old rule, companies were required to send 1099-K if you ran $20,000 worth of payments through there as a receiver, and also more than 200 transactions in a year. So, typically this was always, your credit card merchant companies, right? So, with the change and the rise of the gig economy, this was put into, I think, tried to, improve the reporting for some of those. So the new rule is companies are required to send 1099-K if there's $600 or more in payments, and the number of transactions is irrelevant. So if you get received one payment for $600, you should be getting a 1099-K.
Just to kind of clarify too, when we say companies sending 1099-Ks in this instance, we're specifically talking about the larger companies, the credit card companies. But in this new rule, it's really starting to hit Cash App, PayPal, Venmo.
Yeah,
those are the companies. It's not like if you're receiving payments or sending payments, it's not you. But if you use one of these third-party payment card or third-party network transactions, that's the company that produces the 1099-K.
Yeah, so you can essentially kind of roll these apps into that company's term now, and kind of group them with those other payment processors. Those 1099-Ks will be sent out by January 31st. So if you get one, your first one would come, a year from now, January 31st of 2023. Interesting, Zelle doesn't believe that they're subject to this. I think their stance is that they're not actually holding any of the money, that they're more of a messenger, which I think will be interesting to see how that plays out. I think maybe they found a loophole in the law, but I don't know that was necessarily the intention when this bill was passed. So,
people probably smarter than us found their way out of this in the Zelle world.
They would have to be smarter than us because we tried to talk about it and we couldn't figure it out. So
no. They're smarter than us at this moment. We may learn more.
They will figure it out.
Have more information, but as of now, they got us.
All right, so I think we're gonna talk about some of the changes, the pitfalls, things to look out for. We're gonna start with first if you're sending money. So if you're sending money to someone else, maybe you want to just run through that, and then we'll talk about the receiver of the money.
Yeah, from the standpoint of the sender, we think this can all be relatively basic, and just making sure that when sending money, you're very conscious of what it's for, and if you're paying for a good or service, you more than likely want to check that this is for a purchase for a good or service. One of the reasons, and Steve kind of brought this up as we were talking through it, is if you do buy a good or service and you pay for it on one of these apps and you don't actually receive that item, it's probably going to be more in terms of goods. If you don't check that this was for a purchase for a good or service, you don't have any recourse, or Venmo's not going to refund you money if you don't receive what you bought. So if you are buying goods or services on this from whoever it is, it's going to be a really good idea to check this box. If you're doing something as a reimbursement to a friend, family, you go out to eat and you didn't have cash, but they had cash or whatever they pay for, you're reimbursing for that. Make sure you don't check this. But it's really just kind of being as diligent as you can be to make sure that you're recording your transactions on this correctly, so you're not creating an issue, a reporting issue for somebody on their tax return that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, so I think that's, and we were kind of talking about this beforehand, and I think what Aaron just talked about as the sender, I mean, that's not really going to have any impact on your tax return, but it's going to have an impact on the receiver's tax return and the reporting or potential 1099 that they get. So do the right thing, try and do it correctly as you can, so that, if everybody did it right on the front end, this would make everyone else, life a lot easier come tax season. So with that, we'll talk a little bit about the receiver now, I think, because, from our end, I feel like that's a little bit more important and valuable to our clients, because that's the part that we're going to be working with our clients on. So
yeah, the receiver's the one that's getting impacted by this new rule change. The 1099K will end up in their hands. They will have to somewhere, even if they're running a business, they will have to somewhere include this information on their tax return. So if they get one, if somebody gets one because you sent them over, or total they got more than 600 and you were part of that and you sent it the wrong way, they're going to have to find a way to put it on their tax return and then zero it out to make sure that they're not getting taxed on this income.
yeah, so I don't personally use Vel or Venmo or PayPal for anything business related, but if someone's reimbursing me for golf or for some registration for one of my kids' activities or something, and they accidentally don't pick the right one, I could very well get a 1099K if I'm over that $600 limit. And for me, that would be easy, because I know I'm not collecting anything business related on there. I can go on there, put it on my tax return, zero it out, good to go. If you have a lot of transactions in these apps and you maybe do receive some goods or services, you're pretty much going to need to go through every single transaction to see if the sender reported it correctly. So I think one thing I would recommend right off the gate would be to try and not mix business and personal payments. So if you can set up a separate account for the business and for personal, maybe you use PayPal for one and Venmo for the other. You can kind of figure out whatever works best for you. Because the reporting is really going to be what's really important with this. If you receive a 1099K and you don't put it on your tax return, you're more than likely going to get a letter from the IRS. They're going to see it as income that you did not report on your tax return. Again, now if it's reported incorrectly, we can fix that. We can put it on your tax return and zero it out, but they'll see that it's on there. Their computers are matching it. You shouldn't receive a letter.
Yeah, and then with these two, as the sender, as the receiver, talk to your senders when they do these things. It's just a reminder of these. Is one, if you can put a description in the memo line. Because one of the things that I see happening here is people are going to make the mistake. You're going to get a goods or services click every once in a while, and you're going to end up getting a 1099K. And this is the instance that we're really worried about. And the Goonie thing will be, you get this, and you put it on your tax return and you zero it out. I didn't get any goods or services. The IRS comes and audits you, and what proof are you going to have that it wasn't for a good or service? You're going to have to go through all these transactions, try and line it up, but have them put in a memo line what it actually is. We all, maybe not everybody's seen this, but when you get Venmo payments, people put a joke, and whatever that joke may be, in the memo line, and that's not going to
be careful what you're joking about now.
Yeah, so, yeah, there you go. But also put the real thing in there, just so send your joke, and then maybe a follow up, enter down, and maybe you can put one deeper that is the real reason, so that they have recourse if the IRS does show up at their door.
Yeah, and I think one final thing I'll just bring up on this too is we're seeing this a lot with like 1099s that you receive from like investments that you own, where you get dividends or capital gains, where they maybe don't actually mail you out the form. Maybe it's just available online. I would not be shocked if a lot of these apps went that route, and so you didn't get it in the mail. You actually have to go do something to get it. So again, I think come the 2022 tax season, which we'll be doing next year, I think that's going to be really important for people they're going to have to take action to see if they have one of these and get them if they do. And I'm sure that'll be kind of put into our process of our, our tax organizers and, trying to collect information from people as well too. So
It's probably going to be hidden. That part is going to be hidden in all those. Oh, we updated our agreement, and everybody just hits okay. Nobody reads that. 8 people in the world read it, but then you'll get electronic statements. So be very mindful of that. That they're probably going to move away from paper. But yeah, there will be probably more on this follow up, especially if people have questions on this.
and I think maybe as the rules maybe get tweaked or practices get tweaked, and we kind of get a better idea how this is all going to be handled, come a year from now. So,
Yeah. Well, cool.
should we wrap it up?
Wrap it up. Yeah, check out our YouTube page.
They're here.
Yeah. Well, but you might have clicked through. I was thinking about this. I was like, I don't know if I've ever gone to our YouTube page to see this, which is terrible.
You should check it out. You can subscribe.
Yeah. And so don't just go through our Facebook. When you get there, subscribe. And because I'm going to do
And
it
like.
today too. So be like me today and subscribe.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.